Hello and welcome to today's Linkability LinkedIn Live. I'm your host, Lynnaire Johnston, and I'm in Dunedin, New Zealand. And today our special guest is Kevin D. Turner, who is in the USA in Dallas. And we will be saying hello to Kevin in just a moment. Today we're here to talk about recruitment and how LinkedIn's new features can help you if you are looking for a new role. If you know that you are going to be needing to look for a new role at some time in the near future, or if you are on the other side of the recruitment fence and want to know what LinkedIn can do to help job seekers. Now, my customers are usually people who have their own businesses. And so it's an interesting day for me to learn about some of the new features about the recruitment side of LinkedIn. Of course, LinkedIn began with recruitment, as you know, but has morphed into so much more. Now, we invite you to ask questions of Kevin, and he has agreed to field these for us at the end of our discussion about the new features today. Please do say hello to each other in the comments and network with each other. This is a good opportunity to meet and connect with new people here on this event today. So now then, without further ado, I would like to welcome Kevin from across the seas to our LinkedIn Live today. Kevin, welcome.
Lynnaire, thank you very much. I love being here. We have done so much collaboration, but it's all been, textural, right? So it's nice to be in front of you where we're not watching each other on another video somewhere else. I love it.
This is the first time Kevin and I have met virtually, and so it is very exciting, and I'm very looking forward to being able to pick his brains about so many things. But let me tell you a bit about Kevin first of all, if you do not know anything about him. He has successfully pulled off 5 evolutions in his career. That's amazing. He's transitioned from Fortune 50 sales and marketing management to venture capital to public and private turnarounds, leading a non-profit 50 internationally, and turning a side gig into a successful business that he's been running for more than 10 years now, and that's TNT Brand Strategist. Now, his business philosophy is something that really appeals to me. It's customers first, and then people, planet, and profit, the 3 Ps, coupled with a keen business acumen, which you'll hear today, and a personal resolve to change the world. Can't go past that. Now, he's certainly doing that. He has more than 200 written recommendations on his LinkedIn profile. I am so envious. He's also marketed and sold more than $550 million domestically and into 140 different countries. He's lived in the US, Switzerland, Germany, and Japan, and he's crowdsourced and fundraised more than 25 million US dollars. But he's here today to talk about LinkedIn new recruitment features and how they can help people for looking for new roles. So Kevin, it's more than a pleasure to have you here today, and let's start to talk about how some of these features, as you mentioned to me a little earlier, can help not only job seekers, but people on LinkedIn generally. Let's start with that.
And Lynnaire, again, thank you. And I have to apologize. I think my mom wrote most of that bio.
Well, she did a very good job. It's very impressive.
To me, and I've been on LinkedIn since 2005. I was in under the first 2 million people to join in. And I've been active on it ever since. And the amount of opportunities that have come from LinkedIn, and even several of my pivots in my career have been LinkedIn based. And it all goes down to networking, right?
Yes.
Talking with people, getting to know people, building trust, building relationships, getting them fascinated in you so that they do business with you or invite you into their business. And LinkedIn was kind of a perfect platform for that because it fit how I did business before LinkedIn. So to me, I love that. And that, in essence, is why I guess I get so excited about new features on LinkedIn and how they appeal to, whether it's a business or whether it's a job seeker or whether it's just somebody who wants to do better in their career, right? We're all there for really one purpose, and that is to be found, right? For people to know us, for people to see our values, what we can bring to the table, and maybe that creates opportunity. A job seeker, they're on an even tighter mission, right? They need to get landed. They need to change. They need to get out of a current situation, or they need to get into a better situation. And LinkedIn is brilliant about that. And I love the fact that they are. So the first thing I always like to think about when I'm thinking about LinkedIn is right now we're almost a billion people, a billion members on LinkedIn.
That's astonishing.
It's incredible. And if you think about LinkedIn, it's the only wildly successful social media platform. It's the only one that's made money since almost day one, which is incredible. Right? Most of them, you look at Twitter, has never made $1. Right? And Facebook, the same thing. It always lost money. How does that happen? Well, LinkedIn was brilliant in the sense of the design behind it. And that is, it's all based on 6 degrees of separation, right? Within 6 handshakes, you can meet everybody in the world. The more first level handshakes you have, the fewer you need going forward to get there. So you might only need, if you had a lot of first handshakes, you might only need 4 to get there, right? So when you look at the design of LinkedIn, that's why you can only see your first, second, up to your third, but you can't see the third, fourth, and fifth. That's the business model of LinkedIn. They'll sell you to the other 3, or the other 3 to you. That's where Recruiter came in, right? So Recruiter, because a LinkedIn profile in essence is a really cool resume or a CV, right? It's got everything we've ever done there. It's a little different than the one that's printed on the paper because we look at things on the internet differently, right? But that is the core of LinkedIn. That's its business. And, later came Sales Navigator, which is another component. Both those customers for LinkedIn, the Recruiter customer and the Sales Navigator customer, are 65% of LinkedIn's annual revenue.
Wow.
$17 billion company. Both those same customers want the same thing. They want somebody who looks like they're employed, right? Because if I'm going to sell to them from a company's perspective, they got to be able to buy. If I'm going to bring them in as a recruiter, the number one description that a recruiter gets from a company when they're being paid to go find someone, and they call it the description, they call it a purple squirrel, right? That number one description is steal them away from the competition. Because companies look at it, if I'm going to pay you, Lynnaire, to go find me this perfect person, right? And I'm going to pay you anywhere from 10 to 50% of your salary as a bonus. You land them, I'll give it to you. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to describe it to the ridiculous stage. That's the purple squirrel, right? Have you ever seen a purple squirrel?
No.
Well, you're my recruiter. Now bring me 6 by Friday.
Right? Oh, I see. Okay, right. Okay.
And the number one description, again, is steal them away from the competition. So that core being how LinkedIn runs, right? Because sometimes we forget LinkedIn is not a social good site, really. They talk about that, but they're a business, and they're a really, really profitable business. If we can look at our membership on LinkedIn, how do we fit in the business? Then more things happen for us. If we're the perfect product, everything else lines up. And LinkedIn gives us those bits and pieces in these new features, right? That helps us become a better product. Yeah. It starts with that profile, completing that profile, right? Getting it out there, making sure it tells your story, your value add, all the branding components, right? What we normally see on profiles is not what I call personal branding. It's personal blanding, right? It's dumping either everything you've got in there and figuring somebody else will figure it out, right? They'll know what I do because I'm going to tell them everything, including, I used to wash the dishes, 50 years ago. I'm going to tell it all. That's blanding. Or I'm not going to tell them enough, and that's blanding. So LinkedIn's going to encourage you, obviously, to build out that profile so that people can understand you, to become that perfect product so they can sell you more often, right? And that's kind of where things begin. I know we wanted to talk about, I guess, our first component, right? Our first feature, and that's
We
market
do.
value filters, right? And this
Yes.
is where it comes in. Because if you think again, LinkedIn's this huge database, almost 1 billion resumes, right? If you could imagine LinkedIn as a filing cabinet. And if I said, okay, put all the files in the cabinet and you got to willy-nilly pick whatever label you wanted. And then I said, go find it for me out of 1 billion files, how would you find it? Right?
Ooh, with great difficulty.
Right? But there's what we call market value titles or market value filters built into LinkedIn so that things can be sorted, so that files can be found, and we are basically a file within that system. So anytime you go into your profile and you select, like let's say you're putting in a title, right? When you go in there and you select title and you start typing, LinkedIn's going to give you a secret. And that is they're going to tell you, hey, in the drop-down box below are our market value titles. Those are the labels that go on your file in that big filing cabinet. So when we want you, we can find you.
Okay.
Can we make up our own labels? Yes. And that's how we become invisible, right? That's
Right.
it.
Okay.
And, I learned this many years ago. I did a transition for a head of a large internet company at the time. I won't say the name because it's kind of embarrassing for him. And they're kind of embarrassing now. But this guy was in charge of all of HR within this company. And he couldn't understand why he wasn't getting found on LinkedIn, why people weren't picking him up and taking him away to another great opportunity. And his title, again, internet-based company, right? His title was Cloud9 Navigator. What the heck does a Cloud9 Navigator do? Right?
That's weird.
He held up his business card, said, this is on the business card. If somebody calls HR, this is what they got to ask for. I said, well, don't worry about it because nobody's ever going to ask for it. And that was what was happening, right? We changed his title to Chief Human Resource Officer, right? And then in the content of the actual description of what they were doing, we put internally known as the Cloud9 Navigator. Very honest, but what we wanted to do is get in the filters. And that particular individual was scalped up within 2 weeks on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Because everybody was looking for somebody in that particular area that he was in, that expertise, who is a CHRO and who had come through this big startup and, it sold off for billions. That's what they wanted, but they weren't looking for a Cloud9 Navigator. So
don't be cute. That's what you're saying is don't be cute. Follow the lead from LinkedIn and follow what they offer. Sometimes it's not even
cute. Like you might go in there and director of marketing is what you might think. You might look at that and in the drop-down box, it only says director marketing. So director of marketing really isn't cute, right? Just sometimes what we call ourselves.
Yeah,
but director marketing is the basic label that they've got for that file. Use that one because the other one, you're going to go invisible. This one, you're going to be found, right? So again, our purpose is to be found on LinkedIn to have better opportunities, right? And so this is one of the first things that most people make a mistake on is they put in those titles that companies call them. And I think that many companies create titles so nobody can find you. Why not, right? We don't want them scalped by other companies and recruiters. So we're just getting absurd, ridiculous title and they'll never find them. So
so choose titles that LinkedIn has already got in its database, and then you will not be invisible. That's a really good one to start on because it's something that everybody I think needs to do, regardless of whether they are in recruitment. And I will certainly, after our LinkedIn Live today, be going away to check that mine are doing the same. So the second one I wanted to ask you about was something new called formatting check. So tell me what this does, because it has to do with resumes, as I understand it.
It has to do with resumes. It can also create a resume from your profile if you don't have a resume, right? But what it does is when you go to the Jobs tab, you can go to Resume Builder, which is one of the options on the left-hand side, pardon me. You go there, you click on it. It will allow you to import a resume. And from there, what it's going to do is it's going to take that information parse it just like an applicant tracking system does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to parse it just like you were applying online, and it's going to tell you, hey, this is what worked. This is what did not work. We didn't see the date to end one of your positions. We didn't see the company name or the title, right? Or the content was combined with another job. So you get to see what the issues are. And then LinkedIn allows you to correct them, get them all sorted out, right? And then print that document. So if you apply with that new, now what we call ATS friendly document, you're more likely to be able to apply and not have issues and score better. So to me, that's fantastic. Now, part of that particular new feature is it's also going to tell you what skills it saw in your resume. And it's going to give you the option of typing in a title, and we want to use the market value titles, right? Type in a title that you want next, what you're applying to, and it's going to say these work that are in your resume now, right? These 5 skills or 10 skills, whatever it is. And here's what's missing. Here's another 5 or 10 that really, if they were in there, you would do better because they're expected, right?
Is that this? Does it look like that?
It is very similar to that. These two things are based on the same system. It's just a different output. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So
yes.
This one, when you get in here, the skills match, which is this is if you're applying to a job, right, that you want to acquire, it's going to say, hey, you've got these skills that match what this job has. Now, again, the difference on the other one is it's the skills that X people have that hold that title you want on the first one, right? So these are the skills they have that we think is that title would normally have if it were a job. This one's actually going to be a particular job.
All right.
Okay. And so what I find fascinating about LinkedIn is if somebody posts a job, what LinkedIn will do when they finish posting that job, they'll say, here, we found 5 to 10 skills that we think are important to the job. We found them in the job. We're going to let you either accept these, right? And then we'll tell everybody that, hey, these are the skills you should have, right? That's that skills match. So when you're coming in, it's kind of a way to gauge, should I apply to this job? Right? If you're so far off, maybe you shouldn't, right? Or if you look at that and go, you know what, here it says facilitation and learning, I can go back and add that into my resume before I apply, because this is before you apply. I can add that in, and then I'm going to come back and see if it sees it. And if it does, I'm in good shape.
Right. And presumably, the closer your skills match the job description, the more opportunity you're going to have to get in front of somebody for an interview and perhaps be offered the role.
Absolutely. And these are great things to do no matter what we're doing. If we're already a VP of sales, right? Or maybe we're an owner of a business. If we're already there, we should be looking at this in the sense of, am I telling people the skills that they expect to see from my position? If I'm not telling the whole story because I'm missing half the skills, right?
Yeah.
Then I'm probably not doing me justice, when I'm presenting. That again goes back to personal branding, right? If we're not telling the story we should tell, who cares? And
well, yeah, exactly. That
we want to tell it the way they want to hear it. Yes.
So that does make sense to me. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is called Post on Feed, and it's about sharing a job post. So tell us a little about how this one works.
And this
Kevin?
one's pretty simple. Often when we're looking for jobs, right, we will find a job and we go, maybe that one's not right for me, but I know people in my network that it is. Right. So you can, when you find that job, you can click on the more icon, or pardon me, the move forward icon, the little bent arrow, right? You can click on that. You go get this drop down box. And if you click that, post in feed, it will create a post for you. Now, here's the real bonus. I think if you're going to do this, It's going to bring in this nice graphic of the job, right? So that looks kind of nice. I always suggest type in there, Lynnaire Johnston with Corn Ferry is looking for, somebody who can do this job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you find people in your network and they're good and they're starting to talk to you. And then, when I need a job, Lynnaire remembers me.
Yes.
Because, you were the one who posted, right? And that led to me finding the right person, which means I got money in my wallet or in my purse, right? So I like you. And so use it in that sense. Expose those things to others. So maybe that's their opportunity, but don't just leave it like that. Bring in that recruiter that's normally posted on there, or find out who they report to and say, reports to Jane Doe, right? Whoever that might be. Put them in there. I always say mention them, right? So it's a direct link. Yes. And create a relationship this way by helping them find the right people. So often in a job search, you get more when you help more.
So I think that that's in any walk of life, Kevin. The more you give, the more you get back. And I think that what you're saying is just fits into that really, really well too. All right. So then there's something new about a redesign on job posting cards. So tell me what this is all about, because I'm not familiar with this.
Yeah, and this just started to roll out. So what they've tried to do is make some bigger categories at the top of that job posting, right? So, you start with title, you got company, location, when it was posted, number of applicants. That's pretty standard. That's what used to be up there. Now they're going to have salary range in the US, and we hope that expands to other countries. But what salary range is, when they pop in a job description, LinkedIn has this huge database of what those salary ranges normally are. And so LinkedIn will populate that salary range and then tell the poster, you can either let it go as is, right? Adjust it, change your range. Maybe yours is longer, bigger, more at the end, or maybe it's less. Change it or remove it. But LinkedIn is promoting, exposing kind of the transparency of salary, which I think is fantastic. They're doing it in the US first because they have more data here. And I'm hoping that it will expand, and go further out. And in that same area, it's going to tell you, employment type means, is it remote? Is it hybrid? Do I have to be on site? So it's going to give you a little bit of information. Level is like senior level, intern, those kind of things. So it's going to give you some more information in that. That's going to be next to that little briefcase. Employee size range, industry, those are pretty standard. They used to be at the bottom, right? But now they're going to be at the top. So if somebody's saying, I like a small company, and they see it's got 10,000 employees, I don't even want to apply, right? Doesn't fit me, so I'm not going to apply. Number of connections. And this is really important because on the other side, recruiters see this. If you have more connections within an organization, you think about it, that means you've got friends there, right?
Yeah.
If you have friends somewhere, you're more likely to be happy and stay. So when a recruiter actually looks at a application and it says Lynnaire has 16 friends here and Kevin only has 0, right? I'm a higher risk. You're not, right? And so really important to see that. And they're trying to tell you that here, hey, look, a lot of people there, they're going to see it on the other side. LinkedIn has gotten so much better now with kind of sharing what the other side sees without actually saying they're doing that, right? So you have to know, and I know because I've opened Recruiter, I've got a couple of videos on that on my channel where you can actually see what they see, and these things all align, and they make a lot of sense. Alumni are the same thing, right? If you went to the same school, you may have the same connectivity. If there's a lot of people from your school there, you're going to get along because the games come through and all that kind of stuff, right? So there's that collegiateness, I guess, in that sense. So again, a connectivity. Next one down is really giving the information of who posted the job. Now, they can opt out of that. They can say, I want to be anonymous, right? But because it's there and it populates first and they have to take it out, most people are leaving it. And I like that because if I see something and I'm a really good fit, I'm going to probably reach out to them directly, or I'm going to start following them, right? And I'm going to definitely be following the company because, believe it or not, they look at that as well. I want to have that connectivity. And, so to me, I think this is really nice that LinkedIn is kind of pushing it that way. Now, right below that, you see a skills list, right? This is very much what we saw earlier, the skills match.
Yes.
So it says, this is what the job, says you should have. These are the ones you have. These are the ones you don't. Anybody should be able to look at those things and say, if I want my next position to be CEO, and I'm always missing these 5 every time I look it up, write those down. And if you can, incorporate them into your brand message on your profile. That includes skills and, assigning skills and then writing it into the content and backing it up with some proof, right? Those kind of things are going to make an effect here. This one, you may have wanted to talk about this one separately, but it's here. And that is, when did the job poster actually join LinkedIn? Why would that be important? And this one actually has an example, 2011. There are a lot of fake job posters. You can open up a profile on LinkedIn. You can say, I'm hiring. You can tell LinkedIn you're hiring. You can post a position out there and you can collect a lot of data, right? And you can do bad things with it. Or let's say you want to spread a virus. Maybe you want to get the data and scrape from their profile. I send you something, hey, go ahead and apply. Here's the application. We'll make you a priority. You click on that link. Basically, I now own your LinkedIn account.
Oof.
So who does that? People who are brand spanking new, because you can't do that very long without LinkedIn catching you, right? So if you see somebody post a job and it looks too good to be true and they join today, you might want to say, I don't think so.
Yeah,
right?
I absolutely would agree with that.
They're trying to give us a clue to keep ourselves safe. It's still our decision because they don't really know either, but they're trying to help us with that. And I think that's a great little addition that they put out there.
I agree. Now, you mentioned in passing your YouTube channel, so I want to stop for just a second and mention that, because I've been watching some of your videos on your YouTube channel, and we will run the link for that across the bottom of the screen so that other people can go and have a look and subscribe. But I found a really interesting video that is along the lines of what we're talking about, where you can find a job that you aspire to. And so you might be a marketing manager now, but you want to be a director of marketing, and you can go to, if you follow the links that you suggest, then you can go and have a look at what skills you are going to need to be qualified for that, or to be able to be considered for roles with that title. And I felt that that was really interesting. So Kevin, what is the name of your YouTube channel? Let's at least mention that.
Channel, if anybody can get to YouTube, you can actually put in the search, Keep Rocking LinkedIn. Pretty simple, right? So that's my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@KeepRockingLinkedIn. Pretty easy to get there. Or you can type in Kevin D. Turner in the search. You'll find me either way. So pretty easy in that sense. And that tool that you were talking about is called Career Explorer. And what I find fascinating about LinkedIn is anytime they put a tool on GitHub, that is their skunk work department, right? Those are the people who are doing things that the rest of the department is not allowed to do because they're just too wild, right? And they leave these kind of nutty, codey people over here and say, run wild, think of things to do. So it's out there right now, and we don't know how long it'll stay. But the value of it is incredible because, again, you go in there and you tell them what title you have, what title you want. It's going to look at your LinkedIn profile. It's going to tell you top skills that you should have in that profile, whether you have them or not. And then it's going to tell you the likelihood of making that transition. So if you're a marketing manager and you want to be a director of marketing, right, it's going to say that 45% of the people did this successfully, or 90% of the people did it successfully. And then it's going to give you another little chart that will tell you what current skills you have, right? What skills are transferable, because some of those current ones might you don't need them, right? Accounting, I don't need that in marketing maybe. So that might push that aside, but you get the transferable ones, and then you get a little pack over here, the ones you need to work on.
Right.
Right.
That's useful. That has got to be useful.
It's incredible. And I think the reason it stays on GitHub is if I can get all that, there's so many things I don't have to pay for on LinkedIn, right? So it is there. Use it while you can. And I'll tell you, the design of the user interface is a little clunky. I don't know what they were doing that day when they built the user interface, but it has stuff flying back and forth. Scroll almost 2/3 the way down, and it will become normal where you have your little input boxes. Or watch that video and it'll all make sense. But it's a really powerful tool, and use it while you can. And again, that's whether you're looking to get a job or you're just looking for people to recognize a job you're already doing.
What was the name of it again? Someone's asking. Let's give it to them
Career
again. So that
Explorer.
Career Explorer. And it's on one of Kevin's YouTube videos, and it's really worthwhile having a look at, because it's really just fascinating.
I can tell you what the address is if you want me to.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So https://linkedin.github, GITHUB.io. We're going to put another slash in there. Then it's career dash middle line dash explorer slash.
All right, it's the GitHub bit that I think people will miss, because this is not something that's public on LinkedIn. So you need to have that link to be able to get there. So do that by going to Kevin's channel and subscribing to that. Now, while we're also on some of those kinds of topics, Kevin, the location type has been added to the experience. Now, tell me about this, because this is something that is to do with the fact that the pandemic means that we now, a lot of people work in different ways, where everybody used to go to the office 9 to 5, not anymore. You can work remotely completely, hybrid, sometimes go to the office and sometimes not. And so this seems to me to be a really good way to be able to, for both sides of the equation, for people who are looking for jobs to know what the companies are looking for or expecting as regards that, because of course there's been a lot of talk about mandated returns to the office, and also from the employee's point of view, what do they want, and what are they willing to do? So talk us through this location type addition.
And it is, there's three choices in there, right? You've got on-site, you've got remote, and you've got hybrid, right? Which means you may go in a couple of days of the week, you may stay home a couple of days of the week, or you come in twice a month or whatever that is. So what's fascinating about that is a couple of things. If you put on-site, you're actually higher ranked as a profile than if you put remote.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is a shame. But you think about it, what do companies want? And remember, LinkedIn does 65% of its $17 billion selling to recruiters who are being paid by companies. What do they want? They want you to be on site. So the good thing about that, though, is if you're really desperate, you got to get hired, select on-site, even if you'd prefer to be hybrid or remote. It's going to make a huge advantage for you, because all companies, ultimately, that's what they want. And so, anytime you go into LinkedIn and you see there's that box and it wants you to select, right? The way they're stacked, the order, right? Top is going to be your highest rank. Bottom is going to be your lowest rank.
Okay.
So even that, when you're doing the experience section and it's like type of work, right? And it starts with employed, it goes all the way down to seasonal, right? If I'm ranking you as a profile, the seasonals are going to be at the bottom. The employed is going to be at the top. And I think somewhere self-employed's in the middle, right? So depending on how you fill that out is going to depend on how your profile is ranked. And I think they don't use the word employed. They use full-time, part-time,
right? Okay.
Seasonal. Yeah. So
should we add that to all our roles, even our past roles? Absolutely.
If you can, absolutely do it. And if you don't feel bad about it, I would say select full-time all the time, right?
Yeah.
because that is going to be the highest ranked. So anytime you get that drop down box, be sure to select that. Now, we were talking about location of work. One of the things that is happening, and it seems to happen about every 9 months, LinkedIn adjusts its location database, right? They get better at it.
Yeah.
The problem is, if you had the old location, it's no longer findable. You're invisible because they've changed the name. For me, it was Dallas/Fort Worth Metroplex.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is Dallas, I can't even say it, Fort Worth area or something like that.
Oh,
they're very similar,
okay.
but one can't be found and the other one can. So
right.
Always want to go back and check things. Every now and then you do what we call a profile audit, and all those little boxes, you go in and you select it. And if it's red, it's basically telling you, hey, that's old data. We don't look at that anymore. You're basically invisible. Fix it. So you want to go in there and check your locations because they have changed. Industries now have also changed. And so about 35% of the industries have changed. There was one that I think it was like software and technology, and it used the symbol and, right? Now it uses A&D. There's a difference. One you can't find, the other one you can find. So you always want to check these things and be sure you've got those in order.
Yes, sir. I will be going away this afternoon and doing an audit of my own profile, because I get embarrassed sometimes when I do a quick check or go to something and look at something and then go, my goodness me, the link doesn't work. How long has it been like that? And that is really not a very good.
Well, the number one mistake that I see on every single profile, well, not every single, but in the 90 percentile, is education.
Oh, what's the mistake?
The mistake is two of them. LinkedIn changed the database descriptions. So if you selected it years ago, it's probably wrong. If you created your own description, if you said like bachelor's science or something like that, and you didn't take it from the drop-down box, it's not recognizing it. So people who have spent a lot of time, a lot of money, getting certifications, getting degrees, all these kind of things, a lot of them are not getting credit on LinkedIn because LinkedIn can't see it in the database. It's the wrong label. So it's hidden. Okay. It's lost in that file of, almost 1 billion files. Go back and fix the labels. Look at that drop down, start typing slow, take whatever's in the box. Don't finish typing because that might not be exact. Click on the one in the box and now you're in the database. So.
Well, I didn't know that this live was going to mean more work for me, clearly, but obviously I'm going to have to go back and check that as well, Kevin. So there is a lot to do with LinkedIn profiles. Let's move on.
You hope, though, that it's going to bring more work, right? Because more
will
find
absolutely.
You. So a little bit of work here, a lot more coming in.
Believe me, I am not complaining. Any tips that help me improve my profile and the profiles that we do for our clients, I'm all ears about. Let's move on to the accessibility titles now. This is something that I think will interest a smaller proportion of our audience, but do tell us a bit about what this is all about.
And really, it's focused on that category, which is kind of hot right now. They're trying to figure out who understands accessibility. And they've created new titles. Again, you're using those market value titles, right? But all you have to do is type in accessibility in the title slot, and it's going to give you a rundown of all the accepted accessibility titles. So if that is your expertise, then you'll be much easier to find on LinkedIn. More employers are going to find you, more recruiters are going to find you, maybe more people, if they wanted public speaking, they will find you for that area. So it was really good, I think, that LinkedIn put these together. And, so that's going to come in, at that title level. And then also it can come in under, I can't even think what that is, open to work, which is your little green banner, right? Under open to work, that's now going to be included in those titles you might be targeting. And the reason LinkedIn did this is because people with similar titles might not have the accessibility knowledge. And if you do have it, it's a high demand. So LinkedIn wanted to give you an opportunity to get a little further out than anybody else. So I think it's great when they see these things.
Oh, I agree. The more that they can do to help people in different roles, I think the better. Now, creating a job alert. So this is something that is a little bit different, and I'm gathering it's when you want to let people know that your company is hiring.
Yes, in the
No?
sense of if your page, if you're the admin of your page, right, and
Hmm.
you want to create that opportunity, it's a process to do that. So you've posted the job, but it's also going to bring it to the jobs tab now on your company page. As long
Oh,
as you
good.
start it through this process. If you go directly there and do it, it may not connect. But if you come here and begin to create a job under the job tab as an admin, that will then bring this access up, right? And then it will post it on the page that makes the connection. Now, one of the things that people don't realize is if you really want to target companies, right, to get them to pay attention to you, this is the 10 companies I would really like to work for, go follow them, because one of the first things a recruiter sees is Lynnaire following us? Well, she's not following us. She's not really interested. So show me those who are interested in us, right? But when you follow a company first, and then if you go on to the jobs page and you put your own job alert, right? Tell me when Sony is hiring, there's a direct connectivity that pushes you to the top of the results list when you apply.
Oh, well, that's
And
useful.
it also informs the recruiters that you're interested, even if you haven't applied. So you think about companies who have this, what they call the hidden job opportunities, right? That recruiter is
Mm.
looking for those people. And all of a sudden they see, aha, Lynnaire's interested in us. She's created this job alert. She's following our company. She's going to be shown to me as one of my top sources when I'm going out to look for that person to fill that slot that we haven't posted. So really good to start connecting into these little components like this.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, the last new feature that we've got is something called key skills suggestions. Now, you and I are not sure whether this is a creator mode feature or a premium account feature, but either way, it looks to me like it might be really helpful. So, talk us through what this one is.
And this one is similar in many ways, but what it's going to do is it's going to look at your profile and decide based on a title, what skills you have that title normally would have, right? And what
Hmm.
skills are missing. But what's interesting here is it will look at two different types of skills. One that you've definitely put into text, right? Another one is kind of assumed skill that AI has created, knowing if you held the title of whatever CEO, you would
Hmm.
have these 10 skills, even though it didn't come up in the content, right? So a little different in that sense. It's using a little more AI here to evolve, in that sense, but it will tell you these are the skills, but you may not have them in your content. So it's going to kind of suggest what you should add, which is nice. Now, if
Yeah.
you get to this point, if you've already gotten 50 skills down at the bottom, right,
Yeah.
these you won't be able to click on. If you clicked
Ah.
on, let's say, digital marketing, your first option, it's going to add it to your skills list,
Hmm.
right? And it should prompt you then to assign it to jobs. Now,
Hmm.
a lot of people do their skills, but they never assign them to jobs, right? The reason you want to assign it to a job, if you think about it, if you have digital marketing at the bottom, okay, maybe you have that. You told me you have it, so I have to trust you. 50 people said you had it by giving you endorsements, right? So that's good.
Yep.
Two of those people actually are highly endorsed, so that's like a bonus, right? That's a multiplier. But then how many years do you have digital marketing? If I have it in my top job lasted 5 years, my job below that was 9 years, and I have digital marketing, I have 14 years of digital marketing. So it's a way of putting timing to skills now.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you always want to make sure you're doing that and you're assigning it so that comes through. But this is a great process to find these really quickly and decide, am I missing any of these? Should I add it into the content? Should I add it into my skills list? And I highly recommend anybody who really hasn't touched their skills list in a while, go back and look at it, because words evolve, right?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
very different this year than it was 2 years ago. And so those things
Yes.
change. Go in there. If it's an old term, get rid of it, put something new in there. And I always say, have a skills party. If you know 50 to 100 people that you know really, really well, invite them, right? I'll give you the skills I know you have. If you'll come to my profile and give me the skills you know I have. And so all those new skills, you're going to be able to bring it up, because you will be compared. So if I'm looking for a digital marketer, again, and you've got 50 and I've got 0, I'm not as good as you. I'm going to be down here, right? They're going to rank you based on how many people have given you that skill. So have a skills party. Don't give.
There's a man with 200 plus recommendations. So listen to him, folks. And I think this is a really good idea. And I've never thought of that, a skills party, because people often ask me, how do you get your endorsements up? And I think that having a skills party is a great idea. Imagine what else you might be able to do while you are doing that. So I just think that that's a really a great thing.
Just don't give skills you don't understand. You know, you don't give them cobalt coding if you don't know what cobalt coding is, right? Because it makes you look kind of foolish.
Yeah, no, that makes entire sense to me. I think that it's really important, whatever you're doing on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you'd agree, Kevin, that you be authentic and you be truthful as far as you're able to, because this is really important. This may not be a legal document, your LinkedIn profile, but it is your business reputation, and I think your personal brand, not bland. And so I think that it's really critical. So now we've got a question here that came up during our discussion about these new features and about encouraging people to add skills. Now, I think you've probably just answered this particular question. So tell us what your thoughts are on this, about encouraging people to add skills that may not be one of their strengths.
I wouldn't add a skill that's not a strength, and I wouldn't add a skill that's a strength that you never want to do again. Right?
Yes.
Add the skills that you know you have, that you could perform, that move you forward. I worked in several startups. I was really, really good at payroll and tax accounting, which nobody likes doing. I did it before software. So I did these manual. If you got everybody's paycheck right, nobody said thank you, because you paid them, right? They worked, you paid them. You get it wrong, they come to your house on Friday night and say, you got to go back to the office. We got to fix the paycheck. Happened once. I gave them cash and said, will this hold you till Monday? Because I'm not going back there. I will never have tax and payroll on any of my presentation. I was good at it. I could do it again, but I will never have it. So it'll never be one of my skills. So again, skills that you know you can perform, that you can deliver on, and skills that move you forward. If they don't move you forward, get rid of them, right? If you can't do them well, don't list them.
Well, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I want to suggest at this point, before we wrap up, that people both follow your personal profile on LinkedIn and also your company page, because you give so much value on both of those, Kevin. And I particularly want to draw people's attention to your list of LinkedIn new features. Now, this I regard as my Bible. I check it several times a week, because you are always adding new features. I wake up in the morning, have a look at what Kevin's done overnight, what he's added, see what's useful, what's important, because often there'll be new features that I haven't either got or haven't heard about or don't know where they might happen to be. So I always find this very useful. So go to Kevin's profile, follow him, and make sure that you do check out his new features article, because he adds these new features there all the time. How many have there been so far this year, Kevin? There's you got
almost 40 so far this year. 40. Last year, we just went over 100. The year before,
we're not even at the
it was only like 50.
This is just ridiculous. So in order to keep up with what LinkedIn is doing, you need to go to Kevin's profile and follow his articles, because as I say, he's always
sometimes using that new little feature, right, can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's the key.
And Kevin gets these from people all over the world who are his eyes and ears on LinkedIn, because the difficulty is that LinkedIn very rarely announces new features. Sometimes they're testing them in the background as well, but Kevin has eyes and ears everywhere, and as I say, is really he's my go-to for all of LinkedIn's new features. And so, Kevin, in conclusion, tell us what you think is the most useful new feature there has been so far in 2023. There is quite a lot to choose from. If there's been more than 40.
My favorite is it is so simple. I don't know why it wasn't done already. And that is star in messaging. So
yes,
we want to build relationships, right? You can't build them without having some kind of communication. Messaging is your next step, right? But the way messaging is, it's just a big dump of everything, right? And if you use the, and I can't even think the Microsoft term for, separating them out, that's even worse, right?
Focus another,
mailbox, unfocused mailbox, whatever they want to call it. But that star, and you'll see it, right at the top of the conversations, you'll see a little black and white outlined star. You click on that, that turns that conversation into a gold star, right? Which means you can see it in the mix of all of them. And then if you go to that little filter button, the 3 little lines with the dots in it, that's over on the side, you click that, you click starred, and it's only your starred conversations. And it's going to be in order of activity, right? So the older stars are going to be down below. You won't miss the current activity on the starred. To me, that's brilliant.
I like that too. And what it helps me do is if someone sent me a message that I need to respond to, but I can't right now, then I can easily find it and go back to it later on, because I can do exactly that. I can sort all my messages by the starred ones and the most active at the top, and easily go back to them.
I think they need to give us different color stars. Right?
Oh, I want to be able to filter my messages by proper inboxes, like you can, or folders as you can in Outlook. But because LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, I would very much like to hope that that is on the cards. But the one thing I know about LinkedIn from my time on it, which is a great deal shorter than yours, Kevin, is that you always expect the unexpected and never expect what you expect to see.
It's very true.
So thank you so much for joining us today. I have learned heaps, and I imagine that everybody who has joined us today has done the same as well. I'm so grateful that you would give up your time today. It's the end of your day. You deserve now to have a bit of a break after this. It's only sort of midday our time, but thank you so much for joining us on our LinkedIn Live today. I'm just so very grateful, and I do hope that we will have a chance to do this again before the end of the year. Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you everybody for joining us. And we'll be back here with another LinkedIn Live this time next month. And we're going to be talking with AJ Wilcox about LinkedIn advertising for small businesses. In the meantime, we'll be having other events every Thursday here on LinkedIn, and we look forward to you joining us. Thanks so much for joining us today. Thank you to Kevin, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.